Hello and welcome back to the finals of a competitive league Amonkhet draft. Interesting, we got this message here, your STR const is out of date. So I hope that doesn't affect us too much, but if we have to restart then so be it. Good hand here, we finally get to see what it's like to be on the draw. But we'll have stuff to cycle, and if things get out of hand we can Winds of Rebuke. Maybe drawing more cards is better than not. They're unlikely to play a cartouche or something where we'd really be incentivized to play Winds right away. But yeah, let's discard just a land, I think. And given that we're discarding a land, we've got Ancient Crabs and stuff. Let's get rid of a mountain, even though it means it's harder to pump this guy. Alright, fair enough. I usually just prefer getting rid of lands early since, you know, the more cards you draw, the more lands you're going to draw. And you'd rather have a higher concentration of spells after a certain point. Like, ideally you have few lands in your deck and you draw most of them early. But in order to make sure you have a lot of lands, you just play more than you really need in your deck. Now we get Ancient Crab, which is impenetrable. Look at this shell. Even an exerted Nephcrop Entangler can't stand a chance against this guy. Phew, a scary cycle. This could be another Naya deck, although it's easy enough to play Scattered Groves off of just a red, just in a red-green deck. Oh, come on. What are we doing here? Too bad we got rid of that land. I regret that now. So, Labyrinth Guardian does not help double block the Minotaur so well. We could try to play Winds of Rebuke. I kind of just want to search for a land here. It's a bit greedy, but we're going to get left in the dust if we don't find something. Alright, so we got there. And now we can just cast Winds of Rebuke when they go to exert their Minotaur. That's probably just going to save us the most in this game. They get to replay it right away, but I don't know, they might also try to play like Cartouche of Strength and try to kill our crab. Okay, they are exerting here. I will not block it because I can't. And they can replay it. And they... Oh no, they get rid of a couple lands, and so do we. It's not a great sign, because I'd love to draw land right about now. But even if we don't draw a land, we can just go Aven Initiate, and that helps us block the Minotaur. Again, if we're pretty greedy, we could try to cycle here, and if we fail to hit a land, which would suck, we could play out one of these guys. Yeah, I really do want to hit land. Alright. It's a bit lucky, but when you're a bit behind, you kind of have to take bigger risks. So I will go ahead and double block the Minotaur if they decide to come at us. It's really easy for them to have a trick here, but at the very least it should save us some damage. The worst would be if they just had +3/+1 in trample. Nice. Oh, they killed the crab. It's a little surprising, but I guess the Initiate is easier to attack through. The Initiate blocks the Manticore, though. Alright, we're kind of stabilizing. Glyph Keeper is also pretty hard to attack through. Honestly, it's not. Yeah, Glyph Keeper's not that good here. I mean, it's hard for them to deal with a spell, or even a combat trick, but it just trades with either of their creatures. Let's just play a bunch of creatures out. Try to survive until we can attack with the Glyph Keeper. So one thing they could do is like exert their Nephcrop Entangler and just come in. We can double block the Entangler and just put the Initiate on the Manticore. That gets really punished if they have something that untaps both of their creatures and gives them each +2/+2. That trick definitely exists. And their attack will just give it away, maybe. If they only attack with it, there's no way they have it. Yeah, they're just trying to filter here. They could find it. They could draw it off this rummage. And they get rid of a forest, so they are really getting rid of a lot of lands here. I still like this block. And they'll kill our better creature. Fair enough. Did they find something good, like another Emberhorn Minotaur? Or just a Hooded Brawler, also a fine attacker. And it attacks through our puny creatures. Maybe we play the Glyph Keeper out to block the Hooded Brawler. Sadly enough. Alright, we've got 4 spells in our graveyard, which means Enigma Drake is turned on to block the Hooded Brawler. Yeah, so if we line it up, we'll have 1 blocker for each of their attackers. I like playing the Glyph Keeper here, though. It's more mana efficient. And I will block the Brawler with it if they decide to go crazy and attack out. The other option would just be to double block the Brawler, which is also good. If they only attack with it, then that makes sense. Partly because if we draw a land, we can embalm the Guardian and play Enigma Drake in the same turn. And it lets us attack back for 5. Uh-oh, pre-combat spells. Maybe that's not great. Defiant Great Maw. Well, that one's okay. They can take a counter off the Manticore. So now they have 2 4 toughness attackers if they want. Oh, okay. So they're still getting some nice filtering going. Now we can just block all out here. Despite them getting a million filters every turn, we still kind of have the late game I expect in this deck. With all of these embalm creatures, that's a lot of value. Thresher Lizard. Okay. Our easiest play here is to just play 2 Enigma Drakes, and they kind of trade with everything. They've only got 1 card left in their hand. We can trade 1 with the Thresher Lizard, and the other one blocks everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's still 4 4s. But it's the one way we get to do 2 things in this turn, unless we're cycling our other Drake. This is a nice little symmetric game. They've got 3 forests, 3 mountains. We've got 3 islands, 3 mountains. We're both sitting at 19 cards left in our library. And our boards are pretty even. Bitterblade Warrior, okay. Two of our guys embalm for 7. One of our guys comes back for 4. Oh no. Not sure what this trick is going to be, but I'll bite. If it's a magma spray, that's pretty good. If it's anything that, you know, oh, stinging shot, yeah, that kind of ruins our guy anyway. So what to do now? Play Ancient Crab, which is a terrible blocker for most of this stuff, or Shimmerscale Drake, which is a pretty good blocker, or play Ancient Crab and cycle Shimmering Drake. I think we need a blocker that can trade. So ideally we'll be able to kill this scavenger so they can stop getting so much value out of it. All of their exert creatures get to rummage. Oh no. But it's not too bad to just kill their exert creatures. Buy us time to get up to 7 land. And while we can take them out before they have more combat tricks. Ugh, Ornery Kudu. So they'll probably put the counter on itself, maybe the scavenger if they don't expect to attack with it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So 7, that means Ancient Crab and get back Labyrinth Guardian for some solid blocking. Because our flyers are just not tough enough to survive an attack from the Kudu. And now we can just block all of their creatures, unless they attack with all of their creatures. Another Bitterblade Warrior. All right, this is a real deck over there. We already have used our Tormenting Voice, but there's no real reason to play out our island. So we'll start playing from our graveyard here. And they are on a 5-turn clock. They need something a little better than what they have out. Another Bitterblade Warrior. That's number 3. Exert.deck. 4, 7. We can't hold up Winds of Rebuke if we play the Initiate. So we still probably just don't need to play land. And I think we just do want to play the Initiate. I can't really imagine what the Winds of Rebuke could do unless they're top-decking a Cartouche soon. But we'll just have our shields down for 1 turn while they're hellbent. Alright, this attack, huh? So I am happy enough trading off with these Exert creatures once again. And then we just block the Kudu. So they're discarding Forest and they're discarding Mountain, so they're really rummaging. And if they didn't find their trick, then we'll be able to trade off here neatly. Oh, they found something. Magma Spray, our blocker. So we get this block. And they've got 1 exerted creature, and we can just attack with our Glyph Keeper for now. hold the winds up as a trick. At least that was the embalmed side of our guy that they exiled. Quarry Hauler, Can't do much about that. Hopefully they misclick and put another counter on it. Oh well, no such luck. Right, so what do we do here? We can bounce their Ornery Kudu and they won't be able to play it, and that makes them put another -1/-1 counter on something, in which case we just block like this. And they get rid of a Cartouche of Strength and an On-Crop Crasher, so that was a good mill. And can we draw something relevant? I guess we have Memory and Deemworthy. That's solid. I don't want to give them their whole graveyard back with Memory, so let's start with a Deemworthy. Cycle. And take out their Scavenger. Goodness knows, don't want to deal with that forever. Island. Nice. Alright. So we're definitely not dead this turn, and if they don't find an answer right away, then they're dead next turn. Oh, what was that? Cycling Greater Sandworm. Alright, so they're digging for an answer. Whew. Just comes down to what that last card is. Because Ornery Kudu doesn't do it. And I don't think there's any one-drop spell that does it. Unless they have the pump spell to end all pump spells. But I'll just block their biggest guy and we won't have to worry about it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if they did have a pump spell for 1, or 2, or whatever, we'd be dead if we didn't block, but I don't think they can kill us through a block. Ancient Crab showing his worth once again. Okay, that's game 1 in the bag. That was a long one. We went through a lot of our libraries. So what is going to be good against this deck? They've got a lot of very large creatures. Floodwaters is, or can be good against that. They have a few tricks to kind of kill our creatures, so Fling could be something to play. But in general, we just don't have so many creatures to really justify it. Nimble Kenra can kind of block the 2/3s, and with the prowess, we've got a lot of tricks to make that better. So that's appealing. I could see cutting a land, but we have a lot of ways to, mitigate the flood. We've got flood waters, which is good in a desperate situation. But if we're going to be on the draw, maybe we can get away with this. We have enough cycling. Yeah, I'll take out the island there, because we're adding a red card early. So once again, we get this message that our client is out of date. I guess they just patched it. Today was downtime. Yeah, this hand's fine. It's got an Ancient Crab and a Deemworthy to play later. Okay, this is another situation where we can just hold back on our Illumination. There's not much we could draw here that would change things too much, and I'd rather just draw more with it. Unless they give us something we need to deal with right away. Give us a target. could potentially make an Enigma Drake better. We'll see what they do. Oh gosh, alright. I'm gonna run it out. It would suck to just sort of not get there. We can save the second one because we have enough to do in the next couple turns. Ancient Crab into Oracle. And we don't have the red yet, but Oracle is pretty good at finding red, or it has been throughout this tournament. Even if we have to put 3 cards into our graveyard to dig for it. A lot of the cards we could put in the graveyard have some value, like spells for Enigma Drake or Embalm creatures. I wouldn't want to give away our good Embalm creature. Oh no. Yeah, forcing them to exert is good. It kind of lessens the total damage they'll do over the game. Oh, Manticore. That's a big creature. Alright, alright. So we're going to play a little small creature to try to deal with it. Okay, so I don't mind throwing away an island here, and even throwing away this Labyrinth Guardian. We know we want Mountain, so that can go on top. And that'll even deal with the Manticore, because we'll have Deem-worthy. But we don't have blockers for the Manticore this turn, which is annoying. Ceradon's pretty bad right now. But it does trade with a lot of creatures they could play. They have some giant sandworms lurking about. Yeah, I can't really block this. We go down to 7. They put another counter somewhere, maybe just on the Kudu to diversify the threats there. Okay. Let's get a little crazy. Let's bring back the Guardian and then try to block the Manticore and Magma Spray it. So now we have a couple blockers for the Warrior and the Kudu. And one to help finish off the Manticore. They could cycle their Angel. There aren't many cyclers for 1 green, except the artifact removal. I think that cycles for 1 green, yeah, it's like a Shatter, but it cycles for just 1 forest. They need a 1 colorless cycler. That would just mess everything up. Oh, they had the extra mana here. I forgot about that. But they're going to give up their chance to kill our flyers, which is pretty good for us. Oh, come on. Cartouche of Strength here. And then they can kill off the Labyrinth Guardian. And just attack for a 3 power. Yeah, Trample, Death Touch. That's too annoying. I think we have to kill that. And just chump block the Manticore this turn. That's just a little too scary. But we have enough blockers to team up on this Manticore. Sweet, are they not attacking? That is okay with me. But they are hitting land drops, and that does get a little more scary. Okay, I think we just have to pass it here. If they do something, we have the ability to respond, and if not, we can draw a lot of cards. English. Yep, here's a giant sandworm. Our best way of dealing with that is countering it. Or Ceradon. I guess I'm not too afraid of a Ceradon. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but we have creatures that can compare with it in size. Okay, they've got one card left in hand. So what can we do? We could play a Ceradon and leave our shields down. But the only thing I'd really be afraid of is them playing a hexproof creature. So I think we just kind of call their Ceradon and raise them the 5 cards we have left in our hand. And the 6 minutes more we have on our clock. Not irrelevant. Shoot, is this game 2? Can kind of look through the log here. Game 1 was long, and we are up a game, so the time could be relevant. So not only are we interested in winning this game, but if we can draw it out, even a loss might be okay. It's been a while since I've played a match of Magic that's come down to time and limited. Mostly because Aether Revolt, the last limited format, was just so fast. Even Sealed was super fast. But they've got to be very careful here, because if they lose this game, they're just out. So they have to try as hard as they can to win this game, even if it means, you know, that game 3 is a little tighter on time, but now we're like double the time. They've exiled the warrior. Yeah, we got that with our magma spray. That's pretty clutch. Oh, they still have another cartouche? What are they killing, our crab? Don't kill our crab, come on. We only have one left in the whole deck. They could fight it with the Ceradon, but that's kind of weak. Yeah, the crab has just so much toughness here that it makes sense. Gross. So it turns out maybe we shouldn't have got this Ceradon. 7, this has 1 damage on it. We only need to do 4 to it. Hope they don't have another trick. But I like double blocking the Ceradon with our tough guys, even though we lose both, and playing, you know, putting our Ceradon on the other thing to trade with it. So we actually only take 2 damage this way, and we can play out some defensive little creatures here. Again, in the spirit of delaying this game as long as possible. But I still think we have a good shot of winning. Ooh, Nefkrop Entangler. It's getting a little dicey. But we know what we're up against, so they're top decking. They're in top deck mode over there. We can cycle Deem Worthy to kill the Nefkrop Entangler. That's a little bit scary. And our shields are down here, but playing a blocker just makes sense against this 2-power guy. And they don't find anything. So, yeah, now is when we cycle our elimination. Sweet. The reason to cycle it there is because we have so much to do with our mana, it's unlikely we'll get the chance to pay 4 mana for it. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be a 5/4. Oh gosh, I keep counting our graveyard when it tells you right here. But whatever. We haven't hit our land drop this turn, but I don't really want to give anything away. So I'll just play Enigma Drake and hold up Counter Magic and put them on a 4-turn clock. So they could cast a big worm. They probably are holding back a land. So maybe that was the land they drew last turn and they have another one. Anything we should do? No. 5, yeah, we're not quite sitting on enough mana or for me to be happy playing the Glyph Keeper. Tormenting Voice. We could actually get our guy up to 7 power, but it's really just too important to keep up Counter Magic to consider doing anything else here. Bitterblade Warrior. Let's just commit that. We don't need to hard counter it because I'm not that afraid of it. But it does make Enigma Drake a little bigger. Another Enigma Drake. Okay. So now they're in trouble, because they are on a clear 2-turn clock. And we've got Counter Magic up. So that looks like it. If they didn't have anything good to do last turn, they're probably not going to have something that good to do this turn. Or 2 things, because we can counter the first one. Even a Serpapod wouldn't do it. So, we got there. 3-0 with a blue-red spells deck. One of the good decks in the draft format, if you can get it.